Hey there, hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Vacation Bible School. I'm so happy to see all of you here today. Oh, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Big White, and I'm going to be your host this week as we learn all about different ways to love God and love our neighbors. Hey, I love hosting VBS, but I think it's even more fun when I have a friend to help me. And I have the perfect co-host in mind. Would you like to meet him? You would? Great. I know he's around somewhere, but where? I don't see him. I guess we're going to have to call him. Can you help? His name is Johnny Johnson. So on the count of 3, let's all yell Johnny, and maybe he'll hear us. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Johnny! Johnny!
Whoa, hey there, Big White. What's going on? Are you okay? I heard some kind of ruckus, and I thought I'd better come to make sure you weren't in any kind of trouble. Hey, Big White, you notice all those people out there? Ooh, is that why you called me? Were they giving you some trouble?
Oh, no worries, Johnny. These are my friends, and they're supposed to be here.
Why, hello, everybody. Let me just say I'm sorry about I just like to keep a lookout for my furry friend, make sure he doesn't get into any kind of trouble.
Well, let me introduce them to you so you know. These are my friends from Vacation Bible School at Christ the King Lutheran Church. So friends out there, wave hello to Johnny. And Johnny, why don't you formally introduce yourself to them?
Well, sure, of course. Well, my name's Johnny Johnson, and I come from a land far, far away. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Wisconsin. Well, and when I'm back home in Wisconsin, I like to spend my days roaming the woods, cutting down trees, making friends wherever I go. It's a wild and wonderful life, Big White, and I love it.
Well, that was certainly a wild and wonderful introduction, Johnny.
You know, I'm sort of famous for my introductions. I even have my own introduction song. Would you like to hear it, Big White? How about the rest of you?
Yeah, I guess that would be fine.
You guess that would be fine?
Fine.
Oh, Big White, yeah. I know it's gonna be fantastic. So, let's do it. I'll go through it one time and you can all listen, and then you can all kind of join in. Now, it's a little complicated, but you all look like you're pretty smart, so okay. I'm sure you'll figure it out. My name is Johnny Johnson. I come from Wisconsin. I work in a lumber mill there. When I walk down the street, all the people that I meet say, "What's your name?" And I say, "My name is Johnny Johnson. I come from Wisconsin. I work in a lumber mill there. When I walk down the street, all the people that I meet say,
"What's your name?"
And I say, "My name is Johnny Johnson. I come from Wisconsin.
Whoa there, Johnny. Johnny. Whoa, Johnny. Yeah, like you said, they're a clever group. I think they've got it.
Yeah, sorry, Big White. Sometimes, and it doesn't happen too often, I get a little carried away. It's part of my charm.
Sometimes, just a little. Well, I'm not sure about that, but you're right. It's definitely part of your charm. So, no worries, my friend.
No worries. Well, I wish that were the case. Despite my happy exterior, I'm absolutely chock full of worries right now, Big White.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Johnny. I hope it's not because of something we did.
No, absolutely not. It's nothing that any of you did. It's just, I'm stressed out because of all these rules.
Rules? What rules?
Well, you know, the rules for being good. There are just so many of them, you know. Do this, don't do that, say this, don't say that, go here, don't go there. They just go on and on forever. It's so hard to keep track of all these things that I'm supposed to be doing that I kind of forget about all the things I'm not supposed to be doing, and I can't even remember the rules for being a good person. And if I can't remember those, how am I supposed to be a good person, Big White? I just don't know where to start.
Oh, well, you know, Johnny, don't worry. I understand why you feel like this. I do. It does seem like people have a ton of rules for us, and they want us to remember and follow all those rules all the time. But Jesus tells us something a bit different.
What do you mean? Tell me more about what Jesus says.
Well, in the Bible, Jesus tells us there are really only two big rules we need to follow to live the way God wants us to.
And? What are they? Don't leave me hanging, Big White.
I'm getting there, Johnny. The two most important rules Jesus tells us are these. First, love God. And second, love your neighbor. When you do these two things, you end up following all the other rules as well.
Shucks, that's it? Just two big rules to remember? I'm not sure if I believe you.
Well, it's right there in the Bible, Johnny. I promise. Love God, love your neighbor.
I get the love God part, but I'm not quite sure about the other part. How can I love my neighbor when I don't even know who my neighbor is, Big White? Can you help me with that? Can you answer the question for me? Who exactly is my neighbor?
Johnny, that's an excellent question. And did you know you're not the first person to ask that question? In fact, someone asked Jesus this very same question during his time on earth.
Really?
They did.
And what did Jesus say? What was his answer? Tell me.
Well, he answered this question by telling a special kind of story called a parable. And a parable is a story that Jesus told us to teach his followers about God. The parable used by Jesus explains who our neighbors are, and it's called the story of the Good Samaritan.
The Good Samaritan, what?
Good Samaritan. A Samaritan is a person from a place called Samaria. But we'll talk about that later. First, let's hear the story that Jesus told. And for that, let's throw it over to Pastor Brad and Pastor Caroline.
Hey, boys and girls.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to VBS. It's great to be with you today, and we're going to tell you a couple of stories. Pastor Caroline, why don't you introduce the story? Set it up for us.
So today's story is the Good Samaritan, right? And we're talking about who is my neighbor.
Right, and this is a great story, and it's actually, there's a story before it that's really kind of important to the story, too. It's a story of someone asked Jesus, someone who thought they were super smart, wanted to try to trick Jesus, and he said, so what do I have to do to inherit eternal life? What do I have to do to be with God forever? And as Jesus always does, he throws back a question and says, well, what does it say in the Bible? And the person who thought it was all that in a bag of chips says, well, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. And Jesus says, that's great. You've given the right answer. That is the greatest commandment. And then Jesus says, well, there's a second one is like it. And it is, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And so who is the neighbor? That's really the tricky part, right? Who is our neighbor? So this next story that Pastor Caroline said, called the Good Samaritan, is about this Jewish fellow. We'll call him Levi. And Levi was on his way from Jerusalem to Jericho. And it's kind of a nasty road. And he's just walking along, doing his thing, minding his business. And a robber jumps out and smacks him. Boo! Gets him again. Oh, and he falls back. Levi falls back onto the road. And the robber comes up, kicks him a few times, and then asks for his money. Asks for his money.
Give me your money.
And now poor Levi is just there on the road to Jericho. He's all banged up. He doesn't know what to do. And he's just delirious. He's been so banged up. He looks off in the distance, and he thinks he sees some figure walking toward him, kind of an apparition. And he looks at, oh no, it's a priest. Oh, great. Surely the priest will stop and help me. But guess what? The priest did not stop and help. The priest walked on by. So Levi, he's doubled over in pain. He looks the other way, and he thinks, oh, surely someone's going to come. And he sees another person walking by. And this was a priest helper, a Levite. Oh, surely the priest helper is going to stop. No, the priest helper just stopped and wouldn't even blow him a kiss, just walked on by. Oh, no, Levi is in such pain. He just rolls around. He doesn't know what to do. And he looks out some more, and he sees way off in the distance a Samaritan coming. Now he panics because Jewish people and Samaritans don't get along, kind of like Notre Dame and Michigan State. But to Levi's surprise, the Samaritan stopped, has pity on him, and looks at him, and takes out some Band-Aids puts the Band-Aids on him, and really takes such great care of him while he's lying there all beat up, bruised. And oh, that feels so much better. And then the Samaritan helped Levi to his feet. It helped him to his feet. Helped him to his feet. Whoa, helped him to his feet. Oh, there we go. And put him over her shoulder, and then took him to the nearest Motel 6 on the road to Jericho, and says, hey, can you take care of my person for me? I know you're the ones that always leave the light on, so leave a light on for my friend here. And here's 2 days' wages. If he costs any more money, don't worry. I'll be back through and I'll repay you. And then Jesus asked the question to the person who thought he knew everything. He said, so, who was the neighbor to Levi, the Jewish guy who got beat up on the road to Jericho?
So what do you think, everybody? Who was a good neighbor? It was the Samaritan, of course, right? Yes, said Jesus, you have answered wisely. It was the Samaritan. So Jesus says we are all part of the same family, God's family. So everybody in the world is our neighbor, which means we are to love and serve the world, even people who are different. Right, Pastor Brad?
That's exactly right, Pastor Caroline.
Everybody in the world is our neighbor.
That's right.
Bye, boys and girls.
Bye, everybody.
Great to be with you today.
Love your neighbor, which is everybody.
Well, thank you, Pastor Brad and Pastor Caroline. Does it make more sense now, Johnny? Who in that story was the neighbor?
The neighbor was the Samaritan, the one who stopped to help the hurt man, right? So in the story, Jesus is telling us that neighbors are people who help.
Well, that's part of it, Johnny, but in the story, Jesus is telling us something else. Let me explain. Remember how you asked what a Samaritan was, and I said a Samaritan was someone from Samaria? Well, in Jesus' time, people from Samaria and people from Judea, where Jesus lived, did not get along. Different religious beliefs, different traditions, different cultures. So, by making the Samaritan the hero of this story, Jesus isn't just telling us that neighbors are people who help. He's also telling us that being a neighbor means helping everyone, even people who aren't like you, even people you might not always get along with.
I think I get it now, kids. But I'm still a little confused. It's still a little fuzzy. All this talk about Samaritans is, could you help me out a little bit more?
Yeah, I know, Johnny, and it's a little strange, but maybe it would help to hear the story in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Using characters we can understand a bit better. People kind of like the ones we might meet today.
Definitely. Do you have something in mind?
Well, you know that I do. Let's watch a video from our friend Mr. Rago that shows how Jesus' story might be told today.
The story of the Good Samaritan. There once was a man walking along the road with his things, and he was a fairly well-off individual. Unfortunately for him, on that day, while he was walking, there was somebody who was not so good waiting in the shadows. This isn't a COVID mask. I'm an actual burglar, and I'm going to rob that guy. So, unfortunately, as time went on, when he didn't know it, he got knocked over by that guy. He stole his shoes, he stole his backpack, and his tasty little drink. And so he ran away with all of his stuff. The poor man was left, hurt by the side of the road, without any help. Well, there were 3 people who were walking by that day, because it was the road. The first person was supposed to be somebody who helps people. He happened to be a priest at that time, but in the modern version, he was just a dude. He should have been friendly. He walks by, he looks at this guy. Whoa, that guy's messed up. I'm in pain. He walks over to him, takes a sniff. Ooh, he stinks. I'm out of here. And he runs away. The next guy also was supposed to be somebody who was helping him. He was called a Levite. He was supposed to be a member of the church that was supposed to be helpful. But this guy was not very helpful either as he walks by. He sees the guy. He's like, whoa, that guy is messed up. Ooh, this is a good opportunity for me. Oh, get my cell phone out. Selfie! Ooh, well, I'm out of here. Peace. The final guy was not somebody who was supposed to be very helpful to him. He was just a normal person. He was called a Samaritan. He's walking by. He sees this guy laying by the side of the road, and he can tell he's hurt. Oh man, that guy's hurt. Oh, this hurts so bad. I've got to help him. That's the good thing to do. God would want me to be kind. I'll be right back. Just a second. And so I'm going to go get my car. So he goes and gets his car, and he gets over, and he picks up the poor man and gets him in the car. And they drive to the local town where people, like nurses, and other people can help him. And he runs in, and he goes, this man is hurt. Are you hearing me? You look like you're not hearing me. This man is hurt. I would like to pay for all of the expenses to help him. All right, we'll help you right away. Good, I wasn't sure about you. All right, here we go. So, he gets a bed and he's nursed back to health. The Samaritan, who doesn't even know this guy, says, hey, you guys take care of him and I'll pay for any help that he needs. I will be right back and I will help him out. So he leaves, but he comes back a little bit later to pay the bill and help that guy. And the story that we're talking about today, which is so important, is anyone can be kind. You can be kind. I can be kind. You sitting in the seat, very motionless, can be kind. We can all be kind. God wants us to be kind. This is a very, very important lesson that Jesus taught us. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Big White, you're a genius. That was great, and I totally get it now.
You do? Prove it. Tell me what you learned, Johnny.
Well, I learned a couple things. First, I learned that there's really just two big rules. Jesus wants us to love God and love our neighbors.
So far, so good. What else did you learn?
I'm getting there. Be patient.
Okay.
I also learned that loving your neighbor means helping other people, and not just your friends or people that are in your family or who look or act or think like you.
Yeah, wonderful work, Johnny. You're right. The neighbor in today's story was the man who stopped to help. He didn't care that the injured man wasn't like him.
Yep, and Jesus tells us that we are to be like the man who helped.
Right again, Johnny. Jesus wants us to love and care for everyone as our neighbor, no matter where they're born, what they look like, or what they believe, because all people everywhere are equally important to God.
You know, that story just makes me feel so good, Big White. It really does. It's so good, I feel like I could dance, you know? So good I could sing.
Me too, Johnny, me too. But I've got to run. I've got an appointment to get my hair done, and you know how long that takes. But since you want to sing, how about I invite some friends to help with some songs? Their name are Miss Sandy and Mr. Chuck.
Sounds great. Now, give me a high five.
High fives, Johnny. You got it, my man.
Then you must be on your way to get your hair done.
See you later. And see all of you out there laters as well. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.